Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Clarified Solutions' third weekly live post. Today, I am inspired by a poll that was placed up on Instagram and Facebook earlier in the week, and I had some fantastic responses to it. It was actually quite curious to see what answer people selected. If you didn't see the poll itself, the question was, what element of work is most important to you? A topic that certainly generates a lot of discussion amongst people and sometimes even heated debates. So I thought what I'd do this live was actually have a little bit of a different take on this and consider how the evolution of office spaces and workspaces has actually influenced the way that we work and interact. For many people, 5 days a week, or if they work part-time, a smaller number than that. So the answer that was sort of the overwhelming response was people prefer a smaller, collaborative workplace. So I'm going to delve a little bit into the history of workplace development, and I'm going to take you all the way back to ancient Rome, where the people that were basically in charge of taxation for the state would actually gather in very large spaces, in very large buildings to do organized work. So technically could be classed as an office space. However, office spaces really took off in industrial England. So as businesses became multinational and actually started to grow in the number of employees, they had more information to organize, paperwork to organize, prior to technology taking such a center place. And they needed a space that was practical in order for people to come to work each day and complete the tasks that were necessary. So this led to very open, vacuous spaces within buildings that weren't particularly highly specialized and really were very pragmatic. After this, in about the early 20th century, a different style of office was very popular. And it was inspired by a mechanical engineer called, it was called Taylorism, this movement. And basically the whole purpose of this movement was to maximize the industrial efficiency of a space. Does that sound interesting to you in terms of going to work and maximizing your industrial efficiency? Not particularly for me. And it really didn't last too long. People quickly cottoned on that there was no social element to this type of working, and given that many people are highly social creatures and enjoy interacting and collaborating with each other, this particular style of office environment only lasted really a few decades. Then what was quite interesting, for those of you who love architecture and building design, buildings started to increase in scale and also the number of floors that were within these office buildings. So you could basically segregate the different types of work that people were doing and group people according to team or theme of what they're working on. So this was really the birthplace of open plan offices, which is where apparently the vast majority of people that responded to the poll enjoy working. So in Johnson Wax Company, which opened in 1939, there was enough space for 200 staff to sit in an open plan style office. The lighting was ambient. There was special soundproofing in the ceilings and also the walls as well to allow for collaborative work without the disruption of excessive noise, bouncing around and traveling around the room. So this was further refined in the 1960s by a German concept called Bürolandschaft, which translates to office landscape. So what is this office landscape looking like? Well, it's basically meant to be designed as a socially democratic layout, meaning that there wasn't a clear delineation between the different types of roles and of people working within the office. So people were really blended and there was a high emphasis on collaboration within the teams. So this led to an increase in interaction and engagement, and ultimately a workforce that operates in a very different way. I mean, imagine going from a production line workplace, then moving into a very large open space with noise all around, now to the bureau landschaft, which is more pods of desks separated at intervals. And then the stark contrast of this in the 1980s with the cubicle design being very popular. So the purpose behind cubicles was really monetary. So basically businesses were trying to increase their bottom line. They were trying to be more profitable, and as a result, they invested a lot less money in their office designs. So basically what happened is up sprang cubicles. Something that I personally believe doesn't really serve many purposes unless focused work needs to be completed for a short period of time. But over a stretch of a day or weeks or months, I don't see the added value of working in a cubicle style space. But I'd be very curious to hear what you have to say about this if you differ in opinion. So, of course, now, as everyone is very much aware, technology has really come to the forefront. It's come so far in the last 20 to 30 years, it's almost unrecognizable, our workplaces, from what they were in the turn of the 21st century. So what has this done to the way in which we work? Well, it's really bound us to our computers. Basically, we need to be available for answering emails, working on joint projects using a whole range of different systems and applications. And really what's quite interesting is technology has increased the degree of collaboration, but it's taken it to a virtual format rather than a face-to-face interaction. So what these workplaces have been called by some people are agile and activity-based working workplaces. So the focus instead in these workplaces is on mobility of ideas and thoughts and collaboration using technology rather than the mobility of people actually moving so freely around offices, which might surprise some of you. So this poll, the answers certainly were of particular interest to me. I hope that this brief account of the history of office spaces and how they've affected the way in which we work together and work individually has been of interest. I'm very much looking forward to the presentation, which I will be co-presenting next week on Thursday evening. And I'm absolutely delighted to say that it is sold out. So to the people that are coming along to join Mel from Success on Purpose and myself, you're in for a treat. There's some fantastic things coming your way. And for anyone else who would like to listen to the grant research and writing presentation and engage with me, I'm actually going to run an encore presentation on the 3rd of June. You'll find more details for this coming very soon. So I'm looking forward to being able to give you some hints and tips and some really practical advice about how to begin this journey of grant writing and not be overwhelmed by its technicalities. So have a wonderful afternoon. Have a fantastic week. Please reach out to me if you have any questions about this presentation or you'd like to get in touch and have an initial consultation so we can discuss what sort of opportunities there are for you to up-level your work and enhance the way in which you work, whether that's in your space physically or whether that is from really benefiting from a whole range of different mindset concepts. So I look forward to speaking with you soon and have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks very much, everyone.